Good afternoon. It is approximately 5:30 on Sunday, August 11th. This is the Snowflake Sports Podcast. I am your host, Dan. Thank you for listening. And today we're going to talk about the English Premier League started this weekend, which was great. Finally, the hiatus of the NBA Finals to like actual seeing some sort of competition that I slightly care about. Um, and pretty much it's just like the 3 weeks. This 3 weeks, because I'm not a huge fan of the NFL preseason. It just seems like it's like not a lot of important players playing. It's just like people trying to make the 53-man roster and everything. So nothing too big to go into. But so I'll be talking about the Bournemouth Sheffield United game on Saturday, and then I'll go into the Chelsea Man U game that was today, around like 11:30. I think the game went off. Um, and then I'll go into some just like a little snippet of what's going on in the NFL, since that's still kind of pertinent. All right, so yeah, let's get into it. So it was Saturday. It was like 10 a.m. So I was just like, oh yeah, I'll just flip on one of these English Premier League games, and there was not a lot of good teams going on. I think Everton was playing someone, and I tried watching that one, but my stream did not work. So then I put on the Bournemouth versus Sheffield United game, and so both of these teams. So Sheffield United is a new Premier League team. They were promoted last year from the Championship League, and Bournemouth I think was promoted the year before. I could be wrong. It's either the year before or like 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, whatever. So they're both not they're both not great teams. And so this is at Bournemouth, and uh, Bournemouth had decent amount of control of possession. They were kind of playing it back. Sheffield was kind of just letting them, you know, bring it up to midfield, and then just kind of that's when they started playing defense. Um, and in the beginning too, like Sheffield, I think one of their strikers' names is like Robinson or something. Um, he got a really good pass from one of their players and had a pretty good shot on goal. And it was a solid save by the goalkeeper. I do not know his name, so this is great bit from you guys. Yeah. So in this game, it was pretty much 0-0 deadlocked. It was pretty boring, especially in the first half, because nothing really went on. Bournemouth, like, they had more control, but they really weren't doing anything in the attacking third. And like when Sheffield United got the ball, they like moved and progressed, and they got like I think one or two decent shots after that one. And then Bournemouth, like, they also had they had some like decent looks, but it was very small to, I mean, how much they were controlling. They should have pushed it down a little bit faster, I would hope. It was going to the second half. That's when it got a little more interesting. So, like, Sheffield United came out pretty strong in the second half too, which seemed weird because it's their first Premier League game. They're away. Like Bournemouth's, like, it seemed like they had a ton of fans from Sheffield, which was odd. But hey, whatever, good for them. And I ended up, so I was kind of like rooting for them just because they're like the Championship League team, like trying to stay afloat. You know, maybe trying to knock out Brighton or try to keep them lower. I mean, it's too early to even think about that now. But anyways, I was just kind of rooting for them, you know, for the underdog kind of story. And anyway, so in the 54th minute, their like premier striker or whoever's playing, I think it was their 10. He missed a wide opportunity to put Sheffield on top on the board. Um, so like a cross came in. So they had like I think it was a counter, or they basically had them on their back heels. Sheffield United had them, Bournemouth, on their back heels, and some guy crossed it in, and there's a defender. So the cross came in on the right side, and there's a defender to the right, so it looked like the defender would have hit it. So Robinson kind of misjudged it, but he kind of whiffed it, and then he just let the ball like go across him, which was super weird, and it just like slid past, and I was just like, ooh, that's a big miss right there. Like, you could have put your team up 1-0 in your first Premier League game. Like, it would have been amped. You had he had a decent following for an away game, um, and he just completely whiffed it. And I bet you he would want that back. Uh, anyways, so and then about in the 59th minute for Dortmund or not Dortmund, Bournemouth, um, this guy Billing had like shot that Rockinson or Henderson had to make a great save. He had to extend it out. It was just at least for Bournemouth, that was the best hit from them so far. I forget if it was a direct volley, but it was a massive strike. Like and it was going like top corner, and Henderson like stretched out, saved it. I think it went to a corner kick. Um, but in the 62nd minute, well, I guess just before this whole thing, Bournemouth was pretty much on the upper end from. So when Robinson missed that opportunity in like the next 10 minutes or so, Bournemouth was pretty much in Sheffield's area. They were generating more chances. It seemed like they had more urgency and everything. So the 62nd minute, it was a goal. So it was off a set piece by Ryan Fraser. He had this like, so it was kind of interesting. I mean teams do this all the time, but so like Ryan Fraser is probably Bournemouth's best player, especially in set piece. So they have him and this guy Rico, who I guess Rico's the left-footed player, and Ryan Fraser's is like a more dominant right-footed player, and so Rico was like holding on the ball, and they thought that maybe he would take it because it was like curl left. But on this one, it made more sense for Frazier to take it just because like you want it to bend away. You don't want to bend it near the goal because then it'll make it easier for the keeper to save it. But so anyway, so Frazier kicks it. It gets like batted around for a bit, just kind of like a mess just in front of the goal. And then like someone like I want to say bicycles it, but like does the motion just not, or like kicks it like behind his head, and then the Wilson comes up with it and just strikes it pretty much right at the keeper. But it was a good save anyways by Henderson, and but then this guy Mepham nailed it in the back of the net, just striked it. There was no chance. I guess he didn't nail it. It like hit the ground and went in. It was kind of a little cheap, but anyways, they got the goal. Bournemouth got it. They're up 1-0. They're feeling good about themselves. Yeah, and then I mean it was pretty exciting. Both teams were generating chances. Sheffield was more urgent. Bournemouth was kind of just trying to wait it out. And in the 87th minute, goal came for Sheffield United. It was kind of funny because it was pretty much the same goal as the Bournemouth goal. So someone crossed it in to the far post. It just like hit a bunch of players, and then this guy Sharp just nailed it in. And he was their 10. Oh yeah, so Robinson's not their 10. Robinson must be their 9. I'm not gonna look that up to confirm that. But the Sharp guy, he was the actual 10, and the announcers were making it sound like he was like Sheffield's like I wouldn't say a most important player, but like very prominent and has been there for a while and has like was made them relevant in the Championship League. And I don't think they won. I think Norwich won. So I think Sheffield came in second, and then Aston Villa, they were the one that won the playoff. But yeah, it wasn't the best game. I mean, I didn't expect because I had stuff to do at 12:30, and that was the Tottenham. I think it was at Tottenham, Aston Villa, and Tottenham beat them I think like 3-0, maybe 4-1. So I wanted to watch like a more competitive game. This was definitely competitive. It just wasn't the best Premier League soccer you would see. That was more the next game I'm gonna go into today, the Chelsea and Manchester United. It's just like the intensity of the game, how fast they're playing, how many shots they're generating. Like it's just they're leagues apart. They are in the same league. But yeah, I was feeling it for Sheffield United. Like I liked their team. I liked what they were like. Bournemouth played super boring. Like they just played too conservatively when they were up 1-0. They were just trying to play it back. And even before they scored the goal, they were almost playing without too much urgency until like the second half. Like Like you're not that great. Like Sheffield United could easily have beaten you. Even though they're not as good in like your home. You've played in the Premier League for 2, maybe 3 years now. Like you should kind of know more about it. But I mean, it's the first match day, so like people will. The players don't have their legs on them. They don't have the endurance enough. Um, New players don't know how to integrate with the system, etc., etc. Um, so it was a solid start on Saturday, and so then coming today is the big Chelsea Manchester United game. I was excited for this one, um, but it did not go well for me. Manchester United ended up winning 4-0 pretty decidedly, and uh, Marcus Rashford too. So like SB Nation had this like 20 players to watch out for, like the young players on everyone's team. And I had no idea who any of them were. Granted, like I didn't really watch soccer last year too much. I don't really know why. Maybe I was too invested in the NBA or just like World Cup lull, maybe. So yeah, so the only player I knew was Marcus Rashford because he played on the English national team. I don't think he started, but he would come on a decent amount. And I always thought he was just like this tall, lanky. I was not lanky; he's pretty muscular, but like he could run fast and he could shoot. Like I didn't think he could like dribble or like make passes or anything. And he shows some like really good vision. So like that's completely false. And so he could be really good. He's and since Lukaku went to the Inter Milan, it's pretty much like his team now. Like you could say like Martial really took the 9, like literally took the jersey number 9 from him and is playing like more his position. But I think it's gonna be Rashford's team. But the reason I really wanted to see this game was it was Christian Pulisic's debut for Chelsea. He was the largest transfer in for a U.S. men's national team player in Europe. I think it was like 70 million over 5 years or something. And it's just like awesome because like like uh, Clint Dempsey I think played for Fulham and like I think someone was on Everton for a bit, but like no one's played like on like from a U.S. men's team. No one's played on like Man U or Chelsea, Man City, even Liverpool. Like like the top teams that could actually maybe compete for the Premier League title. So it was like honestly, so it kind of made me a Chelsea fan since I normally root for the Stoke City Potters, and if you don't know, because they're pretty much irrelevant, they're in the Championship League. Um, this is their second year in it, and it's not looking good for them already. Championship started a week before, and they lost today to, or no, they lost yesterday to Charlton. And they lost to QPR 2-1 in the open day. So they are pointless, and it's nothing to fret in the beginning. Like maybe they'll get it around, but like if they're gonna be in League One, like that's gonna be tough. Anyways, going to this game. So when the game started, Pulisic wasn't started, and I was kind of like disappointed. He was a regular starter for Dortmund and produced very well for them. You could always see highlights of him just like juking these random Wolfsburg players or something. And he like produced. He'd get assists. He'd score. He would press high on the left side. Like I didn't really get it too much. So like initially when I turned on the game, I thought he would just have to start. Like it would just be him. And like I was looking around and it's like couldn't find him. So yeah, they didn't, and I don't really give Frank Lampard any ill will for doing that. Like Chelsea's midfield looked really good, even though they didn't have Hazard, who I think plays midfield. Like they were making crisp passes. The only problem was they weren't really getting many chances. Yeah, he does play. Okay, so Hazard plays attacking midfield. I should know this. I don't know why I'm stating this. But yeah, so they were still passing it well. They were getting it up. They just couldn't really find Abraham to get a good shot or anything. And he was running like good runs. They couldn't finish it. They hit the post like 3 times in the first half. Um, and pretty much before Man U's first goal, Chelsea really did have the better of them. For like 15 minutes or so, they had possession, like they were playing forward, they were aggressive. They weren't just playing in the back like Bournemouth was doing yesterday. Um, I mean, granted, Chelsea is so much better than Bournemouth, so it makes sense. Um, and then Man U got the scoring off when Rashford got a little run into the box. There's a couple players around him, and then Zuma catches his leg and trips him up. Um, looked a little ticky tacky, but like he clearly tripped him. They did the little VAR check to make sure it was correct, and it was. I totally agree with it, and it was really good. So the referee, I forget his name, Mike Taylor or something. He called an advantage before that led to that. So like their first goal was a great officiating from a fellow referee to another one. You did a great job. Um, anyway, so Rashford knocked it home with a brilliant strike to the left corner. It was just like a rocket. I try to say his name, Arzabalga. I think we call him Kappa. I think his first name. He really had no chance of saying it. He guessed right. Like he went, like Rashford went right. He's right-footed. Like that's what you should do. And it just passed him. It was an incredible shot. Like good for him. And then from then on out, like Old Trafford was rocking. They were doing their chants. They were doing their songs. They were totally feeling themselves. And Man U started getting the better of the Chelsea side. Like they started generating more chances. They started possessing more. Chelsea did have some opportunities come their way. Like I said before, they hit the post like 3 times, and like one was like, I think one was later, like around the 40th minute, and I forgot who it was, and he just like rocketed it, and it hit like the inside left post, and then it just went out, across. So, yeah. So, anyways, in the second half, the intensity kind of picked up, and a couple of yellow cards came out for both teams as the game intensified. And then Pulisic finally came in as he subbed in for Ross Barkley. Barkley, I think it's saying. Yeah. So, which that made me happy. Like they were NBC. So NBC Sports was showing this game, and they knew that like Americans like me were only really tuning in to. I mean, I wanted to watch the game. It was great. It was superb soccer. But like the reason I was watching it was to see Pulisic. Like that's why I was excited. And they kept bringing him up, like, oh, will Frank Lampard bring him in? Like, I hope he brings him in. So they knew their audience. So good job, you guys. But like quickly after the substitution, Man U scored their second goal off a counter by Anthony Martial. Me being the new Chelsea fan, I thought they committed a foul on Abraham to start the counter, and the referee didn't call it. So the Red Devils caught Chelsea flat-footed. I think Jesse Lingard had pretty much ran across the field and then found Martial, and he either one-timed it or took a step or took a touch and then nailed it in. So yeah, 2-0. Not looking good for Pulisic, and I mean he really had nothing to do with that play, but literally minutes after, Pulisic turned it over, and Pogba finds Pogba eventually. Put in this beautiful aerial ball to Rashford, and also props to Marcus. He timed his run perfectly. He blew by his defender, scored pretty easily on the breakaway. Like I don't know, because when I saw it, I was like, "Ooh, he's on! Like that's good." So I wasn't gonna say he looked offside, but he was like a clear 2 yards past the last defender when he got the ball. But seriously, it was like a perfect run. It was a perfect ball. Like they were linked up. So now it's 3-0. This is like 10 minutes after Pulisic came in, so it's just like what can I do, you know? But anyways, to the actual game, it was pretty much over. Like you're up 3-0 with, I think that was the 68th minute, the second or the third goal came in. But Man U made a substitution to put on a young lad, Daniel James, who played for Swansea City in the Championship last season. And literally like 7 minutes later, he scored his first Premier League goal, sealed the deal. It was good to see a 21-year-old to gain that much confidence that fast. Even though I hate Man U, so um, it was cool to see him kind of do that. And it was definitely a cheap goal because he like, so there's a defender in front of him and he shoots it at the defender. The defender deflects it the other way. The keeper's going, and then the ball just rolls in. Um, so, but yeah, hey, maybe he'll find his way onto some B League, B team squads. Uh, Overall, though, my observations, because I was pumped to see Pulisic. I thought he'd totally on. Um, but it's crazy to go from like watching a U.S. men's national team game or like a Gold Cup game, where Pulisic is obviously the best player for the U.S. and probably on the field if they are playing like CONCACAF teams outside of Mexico. Um, but he really didn't do too much in this game. Um, like it seemed like he didn't find himself more forward very often. And I wouldn't say he had like a terrible outing, but I mean he did have one turnover that eventually led to the third goal, and it seems like he tried to put some moves on that. Uh, the defender is like Juan Bizic or something. I think he's a new player from Crystal Palace. He looked great. He was a good defender. He's super fast. Found his way forward a bunch of times. Um, I will have your name eventually, dude. But yeah, he tried to do his like little like cheeky moves, and they didn't really work. And like I think like the third minute of him in, he tries to like make a pass and try to do a give and go, and Pogba just like nails him. Like, and it wasn't like egregious or anything aggressive. Like Pogba was just standing there, and plus it just like plowed into him, and he was a little shaken up. Um, but yeah, he didn't really. He just didn't seem relevant, which is not what you want to do when first off you're down, and second off you're in a like a. He plays left midfielder, but he's basically like another. He plays very forward for the most part. Um, but late in the added time in the second half, he strung up a decent amount of passes, and then he got Emerson wide to put a good shot on the target. Honestly, that felt like the only positivity he contributed. And granted, like it will take some time for him to adjust to his new role, and he'll have to pretty much fight Barkley for that left midfield spot, who I thought played pretty well, too. Um, I think from Chelsea's side, I wasn't really like Abraham was pretty good running those routes in the beginning before he got subbed out for Giroud. Giroud? Yeah, that's how you say it. It's French. And then there was that. Who was that guy? See, I don't really know. I'll be full disclosure. I don't really know players' names too much. But there was this one guy that was good. I think he played on the right. He played on the right side for their midfield. Um, Anyways, going back to Pulisic, even if he doesn't start regularly on this team, which might be a thing, I think he's gonna be a frequent sub for Lampard, especially because like what you've seen him do offensively, he can help you score goals. He's not gonna be that great defensively, but if you're down, you're gonna want to use him. So, and then just to kind of go around the league, just to see what went on. Man City destroyed West Ham 5-0 off of Raheem Sterling's hat trick. I think Gabriel Jesus scored a goal, maybe two. And someone else scored. Liverpool also decidedly beat Norwich City, who's, I think I said this before, they're new to the Premier League after getting promoted from the Championship League last year. It seems like these two squads are destined to fight for the title all season long, just like last year, and I'm all for it. I want one of those. Like, Man City won by a point last year. I wanted to be within, same thing, like within 3 points. You got to watch, like, the last match day to see who wins. Like, it'll be great. I'm excited. I felt like all the upper echelon teams won this week. Tottenham and Arsenal both won their games this weekend. The only team that really lost was Chelsea, but that's because they faced tough opponent in Man U at Old Trafford. But so like right, Man City won, Man U won, Liverpool won, Tottenham won, Arsenal won, and then like Chelsea. Like that's what I think of the top six who are going to, make win the title, make the Champions League, make Champions League qualifying, or make Europa. Blah blah blah. Those like top six teams. Um, so yeah, that was pretty much. It was a sort of eventful Premier League opening weekend. I really liked the Chelsea Man U game, even though it was a complete blowout for the Red Devils. Like it was still good to see. So now shifting, I'll do about 10 minutes or so, hopefully, on NFL news. So the preseason games finally kicked off. Well, I guess they didn't kick off. You have the Hall of Fame game, which is a week earlier, but like everyone started playing. And my Buffalo Bills, no one circles the wagons more than the Bills, beat the Colts in an absolute meaningless game. But it made me pretty happy. What did not make me happy, though, was that Russell Bodine went down, as well as John Feliciano and Connor McDermott. I didn't really know who McDermott was, but I was like, oh, is he related to Sean McDermott? Because they got the same last name. But yeah, alas, there's no relation. So luckily those injuries don't sound too serious. Like Bodine had an oblique strain, Feliciano had a shoulder injury, and McDermott had a concussion. Still is not a good sign that they have so many offensive linemen hurt. Like I said from last podcast, Mitch Morris is heading under concussion protocol. I don't think he's come back. He definitely didn't play the game. Was it Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. But oh yeah, Bodine was the starter. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. So yeah, I mean before the season starts and you have all these offensive linemen go down, and it's not like their offensive line was a strong thing in the past for them anyways. Like Josh Allen got sacked all the time. They didn't really give him time. He had to break out of the pocket and run a lot. So like that's when they signed Mitch Morris, and like you'd hope that Deion Dawkins would help out. But anyways, so what's cool though is the Bills signed Dron Jones, Aquinas alum. Let's go. He was a super good Notre Dame defensive tackle, and he's kind of been on a bunch of practice squads. I think he was signed a contract at the end of the year last year with Detroit, and then like they've got weight. Anyways, he's in Buffalo. He's on their squad. Hopefully he'll make it. So good job, Drum. Hopefully that's how I say it. Anyways, and then also, so there's this rugby player. I forget where he played rugby. But Christian Wade, he's a running back for the Buffalo Bills now, and he scored on his first touch, I think, or he scored a 65-yard touchdown. So that was cool. And I didn't even know we had someone like that. So like, backfield wise, right? We've got, oh my God, LaShawn McCoy, T.J. Yedlin, Frank Gore, and I think that Singletary guy who got a lot of the first team reps. I think Singletary got a lot of it. Anyway, Singletary's like the promising young guy. Of course, like LaShawn McCoy's gonna get some reps. And it's like the third spot is a little iffy. So maybe Christian Wade gets sneak in for this third spot. Like T.J. Yedlin, I don't think has played very well. It's kind of weird that I would imagine he would be doing better. Like he did pretty good with the Jags, and like Fournette was just as a better running back, so that's why he got more touches. It'll be interesting to see what that third spot at running back will be for the Bills. Maybe it was just Christian Wade, dude. Rugby playing, super fast, break a hole, that would be fun. Anyways, and then moving away from Buffalo, because I can talk more about that, I swear. Antonio Brown's helmet fiasco is pretty much just as AB as it can get. And I love that he's on the Raiders now, so he could be filmed on Hard Knocks and it just fills this like Raiders mentality. Um, but unfortunately, with Hard Knocks, I haven't watched an episode yet this season, but I plan on doing that soon. Um, so, if you haven't been following this, so there's a rule in the NFL where if you uh, have a helmet that is 10 years or older, you have to use like a new one. Um, and actually, so I think this helmet was up last year, but the NFL allowed him and some other players with older helmets to play with them this year or last year, and then like this year they're like, you gotta get a new helmet. And I guess he tried to like paint his Steeler helmet like in Raiders colors so that he could use the new one. Just like, what, dude? Like use a newer helmet. Like the NFL's not gonna budge on this, and he's coming out. He says he's gonna retire if he can't use his new helmet. And also he has like a foot injury, which is totally legit, like very legitimate injury. So he's not playing right now. So it just seems like whoa, what are you doing, dude? And also, right, it's absolutely insane that he does not want to wear the newer helmets that are meant to keep them safer, especially for a wide receiver that might get lit up by an incoming linebacker or cornerback. Um, like I know he does those crossing routes, and he's like a big dude, so he can get hit. He's gonna be a popular target for Derek Carr in the future. I mean, I guess if he plays, he might retire, and we'll never see him again. That'll be outrageous. Honestly, I don't think he's gonna do it. He's definitely not gonna retire. That's insane. Because he would leave $30 million on the table if he just walks. And I think he doesn't have a lot of bonus money that he got initially, so he doesn't have to pay that off. But yeah, he's just making headlines to make headlines. He's a diva. Kyrie 20. I guess it's still 2019, so you can bring up that Kyrie persona. Just be super weird. His blonde mustache, all black Raider gear. Anyways, and then to wrap it up, like, is Daniel Jones good? Like, like what did I didn't really watch this game because it was on the same time as the Bills Colts game, and like he looked awesome in that first drive. When I watched the highlights, like I watched all the passing plays, and he was 5 for 5, and his touchdown pass was beautiful. Like when I was watching it, I was like, oh, he'll just like dump it to the running back because that's what younger, let's make the safe pass, and he throws this like needle over the top to I don't know any of the Giants wide receivers and caught it, beautiful touchdown. I mean, don't look too into it. It's the preseason, and a lot of the key Jets secondary wasn't playing in that game. But I mean, he didn't look awful, But I guess just to go back to my point, like Nathan Peterman has looked good in preseason. Like there's been times where it's like, oh, he threw a touchdown. Like he had no picks this game. He, has a completion percentage over 50. Like good job, Nathan. So I'm still not gonna believe it until I actually see him play a legitimate game. But like, hey, it looked good. Like I think he had the highest passer rating for the younger, like the incoming class of quarterbacks. I think he did better than Kyler Murray. I think Drew Lock played. So I don't think that Kelly dude for the Colts, who is Jim Kelly's like cousin or something. Or not cousin, like nephew. Sorry. But yeah, Daniel Jones. Like, is David Gettleman right? Like, did the Giants actually do something good this year? I would say no. I would still bet low on Daniel Jones and the Giants. And they're just incompetency to do anything relevant. So, yeah. Anyways, this wraps up this week's podcast. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.